Last week, Doc and I reviewed what we thought was the final issue of A.X.E Judgment Day. It turns out it's not over. There's actually an A.X.E Judgment Day Omega #1 from Kieron Gillen and Gooey Villanova. And here to talk to me about this is Doc, because I just needed to tear you down and abuse you a little bit more with this absolutely putrid event.
Look, the event did end last week. Whether they wanted to slap out an Omega, this is just an epilogue. And it was an epilogue that didn't matter unless there was an Eternals comic going on. But guess what, Kieron? Your book got canceled.
It's a $5 epilogue, which is just a complete waste of money. Nothing is accomplished in here, and there's some very embarrassing moments that we're going to talk about. First up, I do have to talk about the art from Gooey Villanova. I've seen the artist before, never been really impressed, but I've never actually hated their art. There are some really bad pages. The one involving Wolverine's face is absolutely the worst, but there's not a competent page in this entire comic book, in my opinion.
Well, you know what? That one splash page of Ajax Celestia, where she's just kind of standing there, that one wasn't bad, but that's because there was no action. It was just an iconic, pose shot. Every single other page, anything that had to do with people moving, was atrocious. If this is representative of your art, please leave comics. If this is not representative of your art, you should be embarrassed that they published this.
I wouldn't be surprised if this was a Hello Rush shop, because it looks like there was no effort, time, or love put into a single panel of this comic book.
It was just bad.
There actually is not a story in this comic book. It's just a bunch of moments letting you catch up on what's happening with the Eternals after the events of A.X.E Judgment Day. And that's what this entire comic book is. And there's some hilariously bad moments, none worse than Sally the Human getting an apology from one of the members of the Hex, who just feels really bad that, hey, I got resurrected and I killed off one of your kin, but I really like your poetry.
Yeah. This giant golem thing standing in the middle of the city to tell her, I like your poetry and you should write your zine. How did this thing know what a zine was?
Well, how did it get published is the real question. What editor approved this? It says Tom Brevoort is the editor of this comic book. He's supposedly their #1 guy, and he let this thing get through. It's so terrible. What the fuck is wrong with Kieron Gillen? What happened to him? He used to be an okay writer.
I've read his stuff when he was there 10 years ago, and I thought it was terrible. And I'm reading his stuff right now. He got worse. This is exactly what I expected from him, because he's not a good writer to begin with.
You expected one of the Hex, whose only purpose of being is to go out there and destroy shit for the Eternals, to walk into New York City, lean over to a lady and tell her that he liked her poetry and apologize profusely for killing people off when he was resurrected. That's what you expected.
I didn't expect that specific thing, but I did expect something absolutely ridiculous and stupid. And he gave me that in spades in this.
Oh, yeah, because it gets worse. The thing with Icarus is probably even dumber, because you got this this fat broad. She's looking at this picture of her son, and she's like, he must have died so an Eternal can be resurrected. How the hell did she come to that conclusion? There aren't that many Eternals to get down to the bare bones and know specifically that he died for that, and then for it to end up being true, because it was actually Icarus apparently that her son was sacrificed for. He shows up and she hits him and tries to light him on fire, throws coffee in his face, and he just feels real bad, man. But over time, she learns to forgive him, and they're getting over the trauma together, Doc. They're like a little tandem, and she even wants him to come over and be like a roommate or maybe have a board there. And he's like, I can't do that, because if your neighbors figure out who I am, and the fact that all these people died for the Eternals, they're gonna turn on you. But I am gonna walk the earth like Kung Fu, and I am just gonna help out people for the rest of my life, starting with a family that needs a tire change.
Yeah. This is it's somewhere between Kung Fu and the Incredible Hulk TV show. And then he just randomly shaves his head. There is nothing here that was even remotely competent. Nothing here made sense. He's just I'm going to be your friend now, and I'm going to walk around and help people. They don't even question the fact that a random guy with no car has a tire, a wheel and tire that will be an exact replacement for theirs. And then they stand there, watch him change it, and they don't notice until they're driving away that he never used a jack.
Why even put that moment in there? Because it meant nothing. It's just making the characters look ridiculous, which I don't have a problem with because I don't like the Eternals and I wish they would go away. And I think this will go a long way to making that. Ikaris might be the only Eternal that people like, and they made him look like an absolute fool here.
There was only 2 Eternals anyone liked coming into this, and it was Ikaris and Cersei. Cersei's dead.
She's a martyr, Doc. Don't sell her short.
Oh yeah, she's a martyr. And A.X.E was their Superman. He's just gonna wander the world and help people change tires. Typical modern view of superheroes where saving the world, that doesn't make you a superhero. You need to go out and change on an individual level. That's ridiculous. It's stupid and it's boring. Doesn't make for good storytelling.
And Ikaris is a verified jabron after this comic book issue. I think the worst thing, it's not quite as ridiculous as the 2 things we talked about before, but I will talk about the dumbest thing, like the dumbest change of all of this, is now A.X.E is no longer A.X.E. She's A.X. Celestia, and she's sitting in a room staring into the abyss because she's not human anymore, at least doesn't appear to be, and is making hieroglyphics, different colors, but really they're just like neon signs with their finger. And it's supposed to be like, wow, she's on another plane of existence, as you're rolling your eyes going, what a stupid change to a character.
We have a celestial god finger painting.
She's changing the rules, Doc.
Yeah, she's changing the rules. Let's change what the Eternals are, because every form of these characters so far, when we've stuck with Jack's original vision for it, has been a failure. So we're going to have to change them to try to make them interesting. It's cringy. It's stupid, but it doesn't matter. Nobody gives a shit about the Eternals.
What did you think was worse? The finger painting in the sky making neon signs, or A.X. Celestia writing her own set of gospels because she's creating her own religion now?
And apparently all the characters from the movie are her disciples now. I thought it was more ridiculous for her to be finger painting in the sky and them staying there.
They do try to tie it into Krakoa because you need to get some characters that people actually like. Specifically, they end up trying to use Wolverine. We get one of the worst images I've ever seen constructed involving Wolverine's face. We also see Doug, I guess, here, an Eternal just randomly washes up on shore, and he's got like an acorn to show the team.
Yeah, he's got this acorn that's going to show that when the Celestials came and made the Earth machine, they already found Krakoa there, and they copied the Earth machine off of Krakoa. I thought Krakoa was a mutant. If mutants are excess deviations, then how did the Celestials make the Earth machine that eventually made the deviants and the Eternals from humans if there was already a mutant there and mutants are derived from deviants now? None of this shit makes sense.
Not a very good comic book. Is this the biggest ripoff of $5 in Marvel Comics history, Doc? Because I think it might be.
It's very close. 90% of the pages are there to explore Eternal stuff that won't be explored just because there isn't an Eternals comic, and there's not going to be an Eternals comic anytime soon.
Yeah, this thing was absolutely atrocious. Don't read this, burn it. That's what I say. Axe Judgment Day, the Avengers, Eternals, X-Men crossover was over last week in very poor fashion. If you did not see our review of the last huge mistake before this one from Kieron Gillen and the team behind Axe Judgment Day, definitely check this one out. We were in awe, in shock of how bad this could be. We didn't realize it could actually get worse. If you don't see it here, there's also a link in the video description.